Meditation on the Peaks by Julius Evola. Appendix D. The Kingdom of the Demon of the Peaks. San Martino di Castroza. The town of Feltre marks the end of the domain of the trains slowly being pulled up these first spurs of the Dolomites. Here begins the kingdom of the rapid and barren paths that wind across gorges and woods. Calm and gathered in a solemn chorus, in the evening light the mountain group of Feltre is left behind us. But shortly after passing the little villages of Fiara di Primiero and Agordo, the majestic nature of the alpine landscape can clearly be perceived. The speed of the cars decreases, and constant shifting of gears becomes necessary. The sound of the rolling river is no longer a gentle whisper, but a roar. The vegetation, in which the spruce fir is predominant, becomes thicker, forming masses of green of an increasingly metallic and deep color as the sunlight begins to dim. Between the fog and the vapors rising from the valley in the high and pale sky, the high peaks of the pale massif emerge one by one in the changing game of perspectives created by the speeding car. There they are: Sas Maur, Cresta of Madonna, Peak of Baal, Rosetta, Simon of Pala. They are barren, tragic, and elemental forms of a titanic purity. It looks as if the earth itself expressed its surreal and sovereign nature without compromises or contamination by anything human. We continue. The peaks, now that the sun is setting in the western valleys, become covered with shadow. They take on a glorious and ancient look. They are golden and purple, in a sky that looks even higher and farther away. The vapors discharged by the valleys and forests in the evening slowly rise up to them, becoming hidden from our view as the road plunges into the forest. We can see them again only when our cars, emerging from the woods after several switchbacks, enter San Martino di Castroza. From there the view is breathtaking. It is as if the peaks floated between the sky and the vapors. Disembodied brightness, they look like memories, or as immaterial echoes. The air is becoming cold, dry, and stinging. The cars come to a stop. We see the sign for the Grand Hotel of the Dolomites. It looks like a large transoceanic ship anchored in the dock. The lights coming out of it are lined up, bright, regular. It is a sudden transformation. The mountain no longer exists. It is like a piece of metropolis at 1,500 meters. The environment is elegant. We wear tuxedos for dinner. Inside it is warm, and the wild rhythm of jazz fills the room. From San Martino di Castroza, the road to the Dolomites continues, leading to the passes of Rolle and Calbican, the site of a glorious World War I memory for the Italian people. In San Martino, a town consisting only of great hotels, tourist groups stop before leaving and excursions to the peaks of the Pale Mountains. Then, all the expeditions of modern technique, which prevails over distances and tiredness, fall short, and man is finally left to himself, to his strength, his boldness, surrounded by things and by the forces of this wild and uncontaminated nature. The alpine paths, starting from the area wooded by firs, lead to the area populated by juniper trees, and finally to the naked Dolomite rocks, fragmented and filled with gorges and screes of a blinding white lime color. At 2,400 meters, the paths converge on the plateau of the Pale, which marks the point beyond which one is not likely to encounter daring young men wearing beautifully colored jackets with golden buttons a la Pitoff, or ladies with socks folded over a la tennis. In the middle of the plateau, there is a small mountain hut, where it is possible to spend the night around a nice stove surrounded by an immense silence. This plateau is only a starting point for the real climbs. In any event, the sight of this plateau is itself a matchless, unique, and impressive experience. It resembles a lunar, immobile, uniform desert. In it, there is nothing for miles but raw, smooth rocks of the same color. between pumice white and opaque silver, without reflections, arid, lifeless, soundless, motionless. Spots of snow appear here and there, sometimes blinding, sometimes precious looking, of the transparency and brightness of quartz. In the background is the glacier of Fredussta. This sight is likely to impress upon the soul an ineffable and indelible sense of dismay and of greatness. And during the night, what absolute silence, and what bright heavenly vault, so powerful, dazzling, and sublime! The plateau is the base camp of those who are possessed by the demon of the peaks. Not all those who leave come back. Yesterday they found 2 from the tent city of a group from Milan. They were found smashed on the slopes of Mount Simone. Days ago it was the turn of a German man at the Sass Mauer. Their bodies were transported to San Martino by mountain guides, adorned with a few alpine flowers and buried not far from the war cemetery that contains the remains of the heroes of Colbrecon, a theater of fierce military operations during World War I. And yet, others have left and continue to leave on the same paths, toward the same walls on the same glaciers, with the same contempt for the danger found in every pass and in every move, and with the same self-confidence that makes them reject the assistance of guides and of roped parties. There is some insanity in all this, but also a flame that flickers higher than all the small values cherished by ordinary people. In this there is something compared to which the mundane cosmopolitan life that contaminates the Dolomitic purity with its tennis matches, its tea, and its jazz, pales and appears cadaverous. Everything in modern society tends to dampen the heroic sense of life. Everything moves towards mechanization, to the regulated and prudent community life of beings who are constantly in need of something and not self-sufficient. Everything today tends to be reduced to the lower 2 of the 4 castes, the heroes, those who are initiated into wisdom, the merchants, and the workers, upon which the rational and integral organization of ancient Eastern societies was based. War itself, having been mechanized, no longer knows warriors in the ancient classical and medieval sense of the word, but only soldiers. Having been suffocated, the heroic will seek other paths, other outlets beyond the network of practical interests, passions, and cravings that is becoming tighter every day. Maybe the popular enthusiasm for sports that our contemporaries exhibit is a deviated manifestation of this. Still, the struggle with the heights and the mountain precipices is the purest and most beautiful form, freed from everything mechanized and from everything that rarefies the direct and absolute relation between the self and phenomena. The deep nature of the spirit that perceives itself as infinite and free, always beyond itself, beyond all forms and greatness found in or outside itself, awakens and shines forth in the insanity of those who, without a reason or purpose, climb peaks and crevices with an indomitable will that asserts itself over fatigue, fear, and to the voice of the animal instinct of prudence and self-preservation. To feel abandoned to oneself, without any help or way out, clothed only in one's own strength or weakness, with no one to ask for help, to climb from rock to rock, from grip to grip, inexorably for hours, with the sense of height and of imminent danger, and the sense of solar solitude, the sense of unspeakable liberation and the cosmic breathing at the end of the climb, when the struggle is over and the apprehension is finally overcome, the sight of boundless horizons for miles and everything else beneath one's feet. In all this there is truly a catharsis, an awakening, and a rebirth of something transcendent and divine. Those who return at night to the valley below and whom San Martino reabsorbs in the lighted and warm gardens of the great hotels, were handsome men wearing colorful jackets and ladies devoted to tennis matches and tea party gathering. These individuals, without knowing it, carry in their eyes and in their tanned faces something that sets them aside as people of another race. For my part, after becoming acquainted during World War I with the vertigo of heights, which I love and regard as the best experience of my life, understand and justify this insanity, whereby from time to time broken bodies covered by a few alpine flowers are taken through gorges of a white lime color, all the way to San Martino. Having attempted the same experience and risked the same danger, motivated by a nostalgia and by a passion stronger than myself, I feel that these short periods of time spent during the summer in the Dolomites give me the strength to stand up to, without compromise to my ideals, another struggle and a different effort, that of the demon of the metropolis.